Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. I thought I would do a video on an update on the goldfish aquarium, and basically an update on how well it's doing, or if it's not doing very good. Update on the doubles ivy, and of course the button fern that I'm using on top here. And I just wanted to get into that. First of all, the doubles ivy, it has a very strong root system. Both baskets do. And I would say the growth and everything has been excellent. The root systems are excellent. Has it impacted the water quality of the tank? I'm going to have to honestly say I see absolutely nothing. I don't see a difference in nitrates. I don't see a difference in phosphates. Yet the plants get more than enough light. The lights come on at 11 o'clock and they shut off at 10 o'clock in the evening. I'm using 2 of the lamps of the Ultra Bright, GE Ultra Brights that are over it. It didn't matter what lamps I used over it, whether I used those lamps or if I used the Asta 120 lamps. But these are putting out, each lamp is putting out at least 4,500 to 5,000 luminous output. So for a 3-foot tank, you have 2 of these. That's over about 9,000 luminous output the 2 are putting out, and spreading it out throughout the tank. Let's see, I've added about 13 mystery snails to the tank, and there's one Pocosmus in there, but you can't see them. It's a fancy Pocosmus. But anyway, the plants, let's get to the plants. The plants up on top here are not really impacting, from what I can test, the water quality. So I don't know if using these plants like doubles ivy or something is just a placebo and people think they're doing something, or if they really are working, because I can't see it through my test. I'm seeing nothing. And you would expect by now there would be a big impact on the aquarium, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing the same readings as I did 6 months ago without the plants. And I don't know, since I'm not one who has ever used these plants in my aquarium, if someone were to ask me the truth, I'd have to tell them the truth that I didn't see any impact. I don't see any impact. I think there's something more of a decoration than they are something that really works, because you have to have a standard to gauge something off of, which I do. I have a standard with this aquarium to gauge something off of with this tank. And the fish are now over a year old, except this one is about 2.5 years old since I've owned it, okay? And it's grown quite a lot since I bought it. But the thing about it is, I'm not seeing it. Now, I know some people will make a comment that I have seen it. Well, do you have a standard that you can base it off of? Do you really see the plants doing something? Because I'm seeing nothing. Yes, they're growing good, but I'm not seeing anything. I even have one plant with the bubbler underneath it to keep water, movement. In fact, it's coming from the plenum. The water is feeding this plant on the right-hand side. Yet I don't notice any growth different from that plant to the one on the left-hand side that's not underneath the bubbler and bringing water up, constantly exchanging it from the plenum or from the tank. I'm not seeing that. So as far as I'm concerned, these plants are pretty well useless. They're nice decorative pieces, but as far as really doing something to improve the water quality from all the tests I have done, and since I do now have standards that I can look back on to see those standards if they're different, they aren't. So it doesn't matter whether the plants are in the tank, and it doesn't matter whether they're out of the tank, everything remains the same. So I'm sure they're using nutrients out of the tank in order to survive, but they're not using as much of the nutrients, I think, as people claim they are using. 8 months ago, 9 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, no impact is being shown here. So I thought I would just make this quick video about what I'm seeing with the plants. I'm not seeing it. Basically, all they're doing is blocking light out that could be going into the aquarium. Basically, that's all they're doing. If they are using nutrients, I'm not seeing the benefit. Whether it's water quality from testing or whether it's fish quality, I'm not really seeing any benefits. They're not an aggressive plant like aquatic plants are, that are very, very aggressive, grow very fast, need a lot of nutrients, and require a lot of nutrients. These plants seem to be doing great in the aquarium, but are not changing any of the parameters of the aquarium. I hope you understand that. The tank itself has went through different phases, which everybody should know. Your tank's going to go through different phases. At one time, the piece of driftwood you see here had a bunch of like black-beard algae on it, or algae on it, as people would say, like blackbeard. It was, and now it's 100% gone. The tank goes through different stages. I added some snails in there and a Pocosmus. I'm sure the snails have eaten some of the algae. Cosmos has probably eaten some of the algae, but it's perfectly clear now, back to the way it was. So your tank will go in flux. All aquariums do. As they age, they will go into different periods of how they're working. And I can't see the bamboo I'm using is doing a great job. It doesn't seem to be doing much of anything to clean the tank, because the tanks always remain pretty stable with all the parameters that I'm reading from it. Anyhow, that's my update on this tank. I just want everybody to know that aquariums do go through stages, and sometimes when they go through an algae stage, you may need something very simple as put some more mystery snails in your tank, because they will eat algae. Maybe you'll have to get fish that are algae eaters, like a Pocosmus that stays smaller, doesn't get large. Sometimes you just have to change. Even a mono in his books will say, you know, about adding fish or adding shrimp, like the Amano shrimp or something, to the aquarium to help eat the algae from the aquarium, because even the best of aquariums out there are going to get algae. Unless you're super saturating your aquarium with light and CO2, you're barely feeding your aquarium. Your nutrients are being watched extremely close. I don't know. So in this tank, I know the phosphates are, I think they were 0.9. And I just tested it. I think it was 0.99 or 0.95 for my phosphates, which is real good, under 1 part per million of phosphate. And the nitrates were like 16 parts per million. But I've been reading the nitrates at around 16 to 19 parts per million now for almost a year. At one time, I have to admit that nitrates went all the way down to 0. Okay. But then something happened, something changed, and nitrates now hover around between 15 to 19 parts per million every time I've tested it. And I'm just being honest with you. So some people may say, well, I thought the BCB basket and the plenum would take care of nitrates. Well, how do you know it's not? How do you know if I didn't have it, my nitrates wouldn't be up to 40, 50, or 60 parts per million because the tank now is over a year old? How do you know it wouldn't be? That's only an experiment that you could try, because I've had a lot of hobbyists say that my nitrates were up to 80 parts per million and they're down to 20 or whatever, and they're happy. It's brought it down to 20. This tank has been around, like I said, I just did a test. I'll show you the results. And it's been around anywhere between 15 to 20 parts per million all the time of nitrates. It's never gotten out of hand, got to 40. And believe me, in the past, when I've had aquariums, goldfish aquariums, it was not unusual for nitrates to go up to 40, 50, 60, 80 parts per million very easily. It'd go off the charts. You'd get a nitrate test kit and it would be, instead of being clear, it would be as red as anything. And you didn't even have to look at the chart. You knew it was off the charts, the nitrates. So that's the only thing I can say is it's keeping the tank stable. And because of that, I think it's helping keeping the algae problems even stable. Even though there is some algae in here, but it is helping the fish grow, like this fish here and the other fish. It's helping them keep disease-free, and it's helping them live their lives very happily without me doing a lot of work. That's why I'm bringing up to you about these plants. Have they impacted the quality? No. So that's all I can say, that if you're thinking about making an aquarium, or maybe you have an aquarium and you keep, and I do get letters saying that I don't think the system's working for me. Maybe it is, and you just don't know it. What was your nitrates before you turned the system over? Were they higher? Are they lower? Are they just stable? Nothing's happening? There's no impact at all? Because I know from the past, there was always an impact if I had an aquarium like goldfish, especially that eat a lot, create a lot of waste, as I've shown you. It always did make an impact on nitrates being skyrocketed. Even though my tap water may show 0 parts per million nitrates, my tanks were always a lot higher. Even in phosphates, they were always off the charts. So, you know, I don't know if things aren't working out quite right, if you are using a system like this. You have to probably ask yourself the question, am I doing everything right? Is it better than what it was? If there's an improvement, then you've done something constructive. If there is an improvement, you've done something constructive then. You made an improvement, an impact. If it doesn't take it down to 0, well, maybe it will never take it down to 0. Like I said, this tank's only been 0 once where I tested it and it's like, oh, wow, it's down to 0. Basically, it hovers between 15 to 19 parts per million. And I'm very happy with that because every day I feed them food that has nitrates and phosphates in it. So every day I keep feeding the tank food. And what I have noticed is the plants on top, they're pretty well useless. I've not seen any kind of impact that I could honestly tell you, yes, I'm seeing this. No, I'm not seeing it. So I think that if you are going to use Doubles Ivy or even the button fern that you see up here, though, and it's doing great, I think you're going to have to put it in your mindset that these are cosmetics that you're doing to the tank, and they're not absolutes. They're not really going to impact your aquarium very much. They have not done a thing for this aquarium. So I just wanted to update you. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I have a lot of people that watch my videos, but they're not subscribers. And it would be nice if you did subscribe so I can keep bringing out material for you that is more educational. And I basically try to tell you, when I tell you something, the truth. I'm not going to try to hide anything from you. I'm showing you my tests. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what's being done with this aquarium. As far as the aquarium looks, I think it's beautiful the way the sand looks with the gravel I added in there. It's over, oh, I'm going to say 3.5 to 4 inches deep. I've stirred it up. I don't need it to see a lot of dirt coming out of it, probably because the goldfish are constantly mouthing it and cleaning it. And have they grown? I don't know if these have grown. I know the other one has grown. Maybe they've grown a little bit. But I can't tell myself. I'd have to look at some old videos to see if the fish have grown that much. The Ryunkin, the orange Ryunkin has grown. But the Ranchus, I don't know if they have grown any. So until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Happy fish keeping. And I want you to realize I've tested a lot of products. A lot of products manufacturers say that work. They didn't work for me. There's other people who say they work great. It's no different than this. There's people who will say it works great. It's brought down my nitrates down to nothing. It's happened to me in this aquarium. But just remember, it varies between each aquarium, your food, your husbandry, what are you doing, what you're not doing, how much light you're giving it. There's a lot of variables when it comes to aquarium. I think what you're trying to do is hit a constant. You're trying to hit a constant. And if you can reach a constant, then I think you're doing great. And your tank and your aquarium will last for years and years and years and years without going bad on you. Like some people all of a sudden have an ammonia spike or something like that. It won't do that because it's more than established not to do that. So until next time, happy fish keeping. This is Dr. Novak. Thank you for watching.